Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad.
Well, welcome home, family. It's your mom and dad. Hello. Why are you? You've got a smirk on. At the
I was
top
just
of the
thinking
day.
before we started this, there was, just a classic dynamic between me and you. And it just reminds me of the meme I sent you that said, like, there's always two types of people in a relationship. And one person is always just about to fall asleep and the other person goes, "Did you lock the front door?"
Yes, so funny.
And it truly is that way.
Like, okay, so
Like all my friends, there's always one person that's just like, "Did you? The lights off in that one room, right?"
okay,
And the other
so
person's just like,
behind the scenes dynamic tea for everyone,
Yes.
just so you know what it looks like. So today, Sweetly is not here because it's a weekend
Yeah.
and he needs to have his weekend.
Exactly.
We're recording on the weekend and blah, blah, blah. So it's just Evan and I in the studio. And if it's just Evan and I in the studio, if you were to have eyes on this situation, it's me quadruple checking everything.
yeah.
Like quadruple checking 100 times.
Yeah,
That's
that's 400 times.
But like, I am like, is this on? Is this on? Are you sure it's on? Is this on?
That doesn't look right. Is it? You sure it's right?
Do I hear a buzz? I think there's a buzz. You check that wire? Did you check that wire again? Did you check that wire again? And Evan's just like, it's all good, baby.
Hey.
Evan's half asleep, baby.
No, it's definitely like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? It's like 2 a.m. Did you hear that? It's like, what?
Right.
I thought I heard something.
Right. No, that meme is so funny because I do that to you almost every night right when you're about to fall
Yes,
asleep. I'm like,
did you lock the door?
did you lock the door? Did you
And
turn
my
off the
thing is
stove?
this. And God, my wife is incredible. I
Friend is
absolutely
so
adore
so
her
much.
so much. But you know what is crazy? We both can get out of bed,
Okay.
and yet I'm held responsible for the checking of all her idiosyncrasies. So it's like, did
It's
you lock the
because
front door?
I'm-
And I'm like, yeah, I think I did. Did you? And then I'm like, I have to get up and go do. So I am kind of your errand boy
Yeah.
for your.
Well, I don't know what you thought you were getting into when you joined this marriage, my
Yeah.
dear, but that's what you signed up for. Also, I'm so cozy.
That is true. It's
I'm
warm.
so warm and I'm
It's
so
warm.
cozy, and the dogs are all curled up and we're all a little piled together. Like, I'm not getting up.
Yeah, just will go like, can you check? You check for me.
And ew.
And I'm impervious
Okay,
to
so you were smirking
being
at
sweet
me.
talked.
You were smirking at me because right before we were
Yeah.
recording, I'm like, "Are you sure it's recording? Are you sure it's recording?
That
Are you
doesn't
sure
look
it's
right.
recording?"
That doesn't look right. You should get a little tattoo thing. That doesn't look right. Anyway, good morning.
Anywho,
And
good
I
morning.
hope that everyone in relationships, can sympathize with that, because I do feel like
For
I
sure.
feel like it goes both ways. Like at the same time, sometimes I'm too chill when it comes to certain things. Like I need to be a little more like, hey,
Oh.
triple check.
Yeah,
that.
like if I'm not around, like every door is left ajar all night, and it's just like, well,
You want to hear something crazy?
sure.
When we would go, like when my parents would go on vacation, like when they go on vacation right now.
Yeah.
If-
Should you say this? What if there are people who?
No, yeah, that's actually true. Maybe not. Never mind. Never mind. I know some people.
Like, what if there are people who are robbers who listen to
That's
this?
true. Never mind. Continue on.
Okay.
Anyway, great story by me.
Anywho,
See, that's part of the there you go. That was a perfect example. You're like, wait, that doesn't look right. I don't think that's a good idea. And then I go, oh, you're right. Thank God for you, babe.
You're so welcome. Thanks for getting up in the middle of the night for me to
course.
check
What a team. What a team.
Because I hear every little creak
Yeah,
and crack.
What is that?
Well, hello, family.
morning.
We are here today, but of course, to discuss the Golden Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise. And I gotta shoot it straight with you, fam. I'm laughing right now, but the fact of the matter is that at any moment's notice, in this recap, I may start sobbing because number one, about to start my period. Number two, our daughter is currently rehearsing for a big musical that she is part of. And when I tell you, watching her rehearse every single day makes me literally cry. Like, I get so emotional. It's also, she's doing a musical that was my Nana, who has passed somewhat recently. It was her favorite. And so I'm like, I'm a mess. Okay.
Yes.
So then you add on top of it, this Women Tell All. I'm probably going to start crying during this episode. So I'm just preparing everybody. Like, I'm here. You know, when the tears, they're here. And if I think about it for 2 more seconds, I will start crying.
Like, either laugh or cry. It's
it's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those recaps.
Well,
where
I just feel like
I'm laughing through sobbing.
Well, that's the thing with this Golden Bachelor is I think why people are enjoying it so much is because it's a new emotion.
For watching
We're always
reality TV.
caught generally in like anger, irritation, or like happiness, or like go get him, but rarely like are we constantly heartstring pulled.
That's true.
I feel like with these shows.
That's
So the fact
true.
that like we're getting a totally new emotion consistently of like hope and wonder and like heartstrings being pulled, it's very, I don't know. It's been very fun to watch this.
It was so fun. Also, just this specific episode, there was
So
many
moments.
of moments. There were a lot of emotions, a lot of really like heavy moments.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for. And the type of moments that I don't think we've ever by a mile seen on this show, let alone a Women or a Men Tell All, because let's just not forget that the Women and Men Tell Alls, we always like jokingly call them the women or the men yell all, because everyone's shouting over each other. Everyone's trying to get their spot for the sand. Everyone's trying to get on Bachelor in Paradise. This is their moment. And so it's always just chaos and hectic. And it was just the opposite.
Which is fun in a different way. And to be honest with you, I had very like low hopes for this Women Tell All because of the lack of drama in the show. I was kind of going to be like, what are they going to do? It's not going to be entertaining.
Were you faced with the reality of you had the moment where you're like, oh, I need the shouting drama, and you were hit smack in the face with the reality of like, oh, you know what brings actually even more joy is just people loving on each other?
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was like, wait a second, positivity actually, I forgot about this whole positivity thing.
Yeah.
And I think it works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like camaraderie, love, connection. Did you bring up last week the whole like when people aren't here for like a career or followers at all?
Not really.
Did you bring? Okay, we were talking, I think, off camera about this, and you brought up something I had never thought about, which is just the idea that like when you're 70, you're not hopping on the show to like most likely start a fresh career and build up your followers and like, you know what I mean, when you're 23.
Right. And some of these women are getting that amazing opportunity and going for it, which is I'm obsessed with, but it's definitely a different energy than when you're 20,
retired, have grandchildren, you're not necessarily like, I can't wait to get a bunch of followers and start a new career.
Right.
And so when you take away the career aspect entirely, you're left with like age and experience, you really are left with, I'm here for like literally, I know it's such a corny thing, but the purest of reasons.
Right, 100%.
And what you see is like people who genuinely, like you see all the insecurity fade away. You see, the competitiveness level you normally see fade away, and you see people just supporting each other and loving each other and connecting. And it has been knock out the park. And this episode is just amazing to see everyone best friends, to see, GGT like loving on everyone and going through the heaviness. We'll get into it, but it's just like major heartstring pulling.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely found a different energy in this because of exactly what you were saying. And, shout out to everybody who goes on The Bachelor, Bachelorette and is like, this could be a future career for me. I love to see it. I would be doing the exact same thing if I was single. I'd be like, great, I'm setting myself up here. But yes, I do feel like there is a level of, especially on these like episodes like Women Tell All and probably what we'll see with After the Final Rose, where we are simply getting a non-calculated hot seat where they're just being genuine.
No
like when we're
plan.
sitting there and we're talking to Faith, I mean, we are getting between Faith and Gerry. You're like, it's as
real as it gets.
We're not getting a PR. This is not a PR line that's happening. We're getting exactly how they're feeling.
It's not someone trying to appease someone,
Right.
make them feel good. Like,
because
oh,
again, you're probably not
great.
thinking about like, oh, the sand, oh, sponsors. Like it's just who they are.
It's pure.
Okay. So I say we just dive right
Absolutely.
into the episode. But before we dive in, we do have to take a quick pause. So we are talking Golden Bachelor. Like we said, we're watching the journey of love as we age. And speaking of aging, something about me that has happened in very recent days as I am aging is I'm getting a little bit stinkier, okay? It's just the truth. It's true, okay? It's just like, not the Susan type of stinky with like the
Right.
gas and the meatballs, a different type of stinky. Personally, the body odor has been hitting a little bit harder in this past year. And what I have started using, which has been working wonders for me, is Lumi. Lumi is a one-of-a-kind whole body deodorant. It's safe to use all over your body. I use it top to bottom, okay? Personally, where I need it most is the pits, under boobs, the thigh folds, and especially lately, my feet.
Lumi was created by an OBGYN who discovered odor isn't just an underarm thing, it's an all-over thing. So she developed a pH-optimized deo that's clinically proven to control odor everywhere for up to 72 hours. Unlike some deodorants that try to mask odor with a fragrance, Lumi is formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts, more like a pre-odorant. It's baking soda free, paraben free, and pH balanced for a safe use below the belt.
And if you are looking for where to start, Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, which I'm obsessed with, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And as a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a Lumi starter pack with code MOMDAD at lumideodorant.com. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you visit lumideodorant.com and use code MOMDAD. Okay, so let's get into the Golden Bachelor Women Tell All, and then after we will dive into Bachelor in Paradise.
Yes.
Okay, so this Women Tell All, I have to say first and foremost, we see these stunning ladies once again. I miss them so much. I really did. It just felt like a warm hug to be in the room with them. I'm so jealous of everyone who was there. But these women, I know we were just talking about like, they're not there for like a career, but what these women did with this incredible opportunity that they were given, these newfound friendships, is they came out with branding. People, we are branding. We are moguls. We are tycoons. I am living for it. Like so many of these women. Number one, we hit Natasha. Natasha is wearing chair earrings.
And I didn't catch that at first. I saw her like do something with her ear, and I just thought that I almost thought it was like I'm listening. You know what I mean? Like let me hear you scream.
Yeah.
And then you know what I mean? Like you're like, what's up, Cincinnati? Let me hear you scream. You know what I mean? Like that was the energy I was getting when she was just doing one of these. But later zoomed in and saw it was chair earrings, and then I didn't even get it at first. It was so like nuanced.
I mean,
and then I was like, oh my God, it's about the sitting.
It's about her line, her exit line that everyone was posting about, which was iconic and necessary to production, okay? And now she's rocking chair earrings. She is coming for Brayden's gig, which I'm obsessed with, okay? Watch out, Brayden. There's a new earring queen in town, okay? So we got Natasha doing that. We have April just like hyping up the crowd, like motivational speech energy. Yeah. She's like, I can talk at whatever event you've got popping off. Here I am, just a reminder. We have Kathy doing the zip it over and over again with her lips. She's doing the zip it, okay? She's got that whole marketing down. She's like, she's going to come out with a shirt line that says zip it, okay?
Yeah, right.
We have Susan. It wasn't the meatballs. Like, I mean.
Yeah. It was like a sitcom. It was like, tell me it ain't the meatballs. Wah, wah, wah. Like.
We've got Sandra with her mantra, okay? Just doing the. I mean, these ladies came and they brought it.
I like to think that they're all in a group text.
Yes.
And they were like, okay, ladies, what's the taglines? What's your thing?
Yes.
Let's all decide now so we can kind of have it ready.
Yes. The only missed opportunity I felt was I wish that Ellen would have had the cover of in Pickleball magazine.
Or just had a paddle and then like
just
spanking, pretending to spank him or something like that, There was a
That
couple
the
missed
only
opportunities.
missed opportunity that I
Yeah.
right away saw, or someone with a bowl of ice cream, something.
Yes.
Actually, April should have faked the fall. That's how she
Yes.
should have done.
My
the
favorite thing
intro.
about April, well, first of all the ladies are doing this, but especially April, anytime she'd say anything, she's like, I made sure he paid the price. And then she'd look at the crowd and like put her hands out like, let's go, like give it to me, rock and roll. Like she was like playing to everyone was playing to the crowd.
Everyone was playing to the crowd in a
like,
way that
say it and look at everyone and be like, yo.
it is a way that I have never seen on this stage before with anyone else from The Bachelor or Bachelorette, and I was living for it. I was loving it. I was like, these women are pros. Give it to us.
It was very professional.
It
They
was
were really
so
good with
pro.
it. They were like, I've been waiting for this for 50 years. Like I'm working the crowd.
I loved it so much. In fact, speaking of April, one of my most favorite moments was when they were doing the recap of the season,
Yeah.
and we see April fall, and then we see like the little box with her watching it live, right?
Yeah.
When she fell in real time,
Mhm.
she was looking at it and acted shocked. She goes, like looked at the crowd like, can
Yeah,
you believe?
yeah.
Like, oh my God,
you
she just fell. Is she hurt?
guys.
And then when she turned to the camera and did the I'm fine, then she's like, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, yeah. She was working it, dude. It was insane. They were playing. It was very like you know what it was though? I thought about their kids, and I thought like, oh, mom, stop. Like I literally, because they were so juicing it that I was like, some of their kids are a little bit like, mom, please stop it. Like,
Oh, you mean like the most iconic line ever from Susan when JP was like, Susan, what was it like when
Yes.
you that first night? And Susan's like, well, going back then, and what I said with the limo intro,
yeah.
and knowing then my son was at home watching, instead of 6 inches, I would have said 8. I was like, and the crowd goes wild. Dude,
Like making sex jokes, dick jokes.
it
I mean,
was
just
everything. These women are absolutely incredible. I have to tell you, a genius concept. So I was on Date Card Pod, and I was podcasting with Jenna. Just love Jenna so much. Check out Date Card Pod. They're amazing. But we were talking, and she was bringing up the idea that for the next like Golden Bachelor, because we are all so in love with all of these women,
Yeah.
you just keep bringing in a new guy and keep the same women until all of them have met their king.
Yes. I love
Because I
that
don't want to
idea.
say goodbye to these women. They're too incredible.
I just felt like they deserve. I felt like Gerry is so incredible,
Yes.
and these women are so incredible that I felt bad them going back to their life and meeting a bunch of losers.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I felt like the good guys out there wanting to meet these women.
Yeah.
Like we should just keep doing it. I agreed. Like just
Right? Isn't
go
that a great
until
idea?
they're all linked up.
Because then it's like, think about this. We just keep getting to know these women more and more. I feel like
know.
that's a great idea for the show too. Like we're falling more and more in love with these women. I feel like a lot of them would be down to do it.
Mhm.
And one of the most frequent things that we talked about in this episode, and when I say we, I mean the collective we, I mean the women on stage, was that they, even though it didn't work out with them and Gerry,
Yeah.
it brought them a lot of hope. And now they're
Yeah.
so excited to dive into meeting someone else. But like you said, you're like, let's get some good guys out there for these women.
Yes.
And I feel like that's a great way to do it.
100%. And the one thing, I don't know if we can jump ahead to this,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
the one thing I want to say about these women, especially Susan and Sandra,
Yeah.
is how comfortable they are with themselves.
Oh my God.
Like first of all, Susan flashes once they asked about like nipple pads or whatever those things are.
The nipple cover.
Nipple covers. They're like, "Do you have nipple covers on?" And she just flashes them.
Yes.
And I just love like she didn't even like hesitate
No.
with just like, this is how comfortable I am.
Yes.
And then the farting situation. Like,
Evan?
dude, Sandra looked directly in the camera during an interview, leaned
And said,
up,
hold on.
said, hold on a second, had a 14-second fart. First of all, she deflated. Did you notice that? So she went like this, and then as it was going, she started going this. She starts going like down, like the air was let out of the balloon, and then at the end she just goes, "You were saying?" Like, dude, I don't care who you are. To be that comfortable and own it is unreal.
Legendary.
Like, I don't have that much security within a mile of me to be
And
able to pull
her
that
face
off.
didn't change once, by the way. Like she wasn't even smirking, laughing. Like she kept this straight face the entire time because she's like, yes, I have to let this out before we continue this ITM. That's just a fact.
Like, she demystified the fart for me.
Yeah, she
You know
really
what I mean?
did.
Like,
She took its power away.
she really took the power of the fart and just kept it for herself. And because of that, you weren't like weirded out or humiliated by it. You were just kind of like, oh, she's just farting. Like,
No, it was legendary.
it was insane. So I was inspired by the security of their own.
And also then Susan, when she sits down with Gerry and she's like, Gerry, I have to tell you something that's been on my mind. It's like, it's a thing that's kind of in the way.
Yeah.
She's like, I've had terrible gas and he's
dying.
dying. Like, and that's the thing too.
She said something like, whatever's coming out of me is like evil or something. I don't remember what she said, but she said something to the effect of like, this is not from this world.
Oh, also to talk about branding, Edith then went on Instagram and was posting the recipe for her famous guacamole. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about, baby.
God, talk about influencers. They were just born in the wrong decade.
I know.
Or the wrong couple decades.
But-
they were built for this.
But that's the thing. That's what I'm really, really loving about this show is that's not true.
Right.
They can do it now.
Exactly. That would be cool, actually, if they became like their own demographic influencers.
Well,
and, like,
a lot of them are popping off on social media. And it's like the fact of the matter is, like, younger people or even people like our age, it's like, I need to see people who are older, who are influencers.
that's
you know
true.
what I mean?
Very
like,
true.
Like, they can and they should. And this is amazing. Like, and now we're getting these content from people who are older than we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's necessary and good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole thing about this show that has been so genuinely powerful and wonderful is that it's getting us thinking. We're processing different perspectives.
Yeah.
We're listening to people who maybe we hadn't before,
100%.
involving their journeys in love. And I don't know. It's been necessary and good.
They better keep this thing going. I
They
want the
have
Golden
to.
Bachelorette, Golden Bachelor again. They better keep this thing
Now,
going.
they didn't give us...
They didn't tease that.
They didn't say, hey, this is going to be your new Golden Bachelorette, or during the finale, we're going to announce your new Golden Bachelorette, which made me feel a little concerned.
Or give you the like, hey, are you tired of dealing with the blah-blah-blah? Sign up for the new guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They didn't say that. So maybe they're just going to wait a little bit. I don't know.
I don't like that at all.
I didn't
I'm
like
like,
that at all.
throw out the Bachelor and Bachelorette. We just want Golden.
Seriously.
Like, genuinely, if we're going to take one, give me Golden.
Absolutely.
Please.
Yes.
And then, but of course, as everyone's been talking, give us Golden Bachelor in Paradise once we've...
Fire. That would be so
There would be
fire.
nothing
Dude,
better.
Susan on the beach?
Are you joking?
Fire. Let's go.
I do feel like I want it to be, a little different. I could
Sure.
see them on a cruise. I'm
Yeah.
sticking to that.
You know what? That'd be a good like kind of play on, like, you know, if they do like these kind of like play on the age thing
yes,
too.
yes.
Like it's an older thing to be like, I'm gonna go on a cruise.
right. And we
you
keep
know?
it docked, for the
Yeah.
safety of everybody, but we keep
But
it docked, but we're on a
The
cruise
golden
ship.
cruise ship. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
The golden seas, hitting the high seas with the Golden
I like
Bachelor and
that. Sea law.
Bachelorette. We're living by sea
We're
law.
living by
babes.
sea law.
But yeah, I mean, what we were saying before though too, just with like this show and the perspective, there was a moment where Nancy was saying that for her it was so powerful because she's like, my kids always just saw me as a mom, and now they're seeing me as a single woman, and it's a refreshed perspective.
True.
And I thought that was so powerful, and that is so true of what we've been seeing. It's like, so many people then who become parents and grandparents or aging, it's then put in a box of singularly, this is who you are now. Instead of, no, you're still the person you used to be. You just have a few different new titles.
Right.
But you're still now this person who's looking for love. And that perspective is necessary to not be like, I'm not going to put you in a box and be like, you're just mom.
Yeah.
Like, you have all these feelings too. You want this romance too. All of this.
You're just a person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. So as we expected, there really wasn't any drama. The only drama that was talked about, but of course, was Kathy.
Yeah.
Theresa wasn't there, so there wasn't any sort of back and forth. I think if Theresa would have been there, or as Gerry says, Theresa, darling Theresa. If she would have been there,
Yeah.
I don't think anything would have changed. I feel like they just would have been like, yeah, we're good. We love each other. Kathy essentially just said, could I have been a little more delicate?
Yeah.
Sure, but both of us were kind of, in a space that was new and unusual, and maybe we both should have zipped it.
Yeah, right. Bang.
And we'll be right back.
Wah, wah, wah. You know what I mean? I'm surprised she didn't have one of those like blowhorns or something. But I just felt like Theresa never knew what was going on. Like
That's
she was
true.
always just like, "Why are you mad at me?" And then she's just like, "How do you not understand why I'm mad at you?" And she's like, "Oh, okay, I didn't mean to." And then do it 2 seconds later, and why are you mad at me again? Like she would have showed up and been like, "I actually, to be honest with you, never really understood what you were talking about."
That's true.
And then Kathy was
Honestly.
just like, "Whatever," you know what I mean?
Honestly, if Theresa would have been there, it might have been one of those things where they're like, and the drama of the season. Teresa's like, huh?
Well, since when?
Oh, we're still mad. Oh, golly.
Okay.
Oh, golly. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I
did
didn't
not
know.
but I will say he did come to my room again. And like,
I had no idea, but I'm going to tell you. Let me tell you all about those fantasy suites that I experienced with our Gerry Bear.
yeah, she'd be there and she'd go, you know, I'm so sorry that you felt that way, and I will definitely not talk about that. And being in the final 2 has been amazing, and the fact that I'm falling in love every day is just a new journey.
He tells
and you
me
know,
things that you cannot imagine.
he tells and does things, you know, that are just mind blowing. Are you mad again? What did I do? I mean, that is literally Theresa. I love it.
But I mean, that was the drama
was the
we
drama.
got, which was
Not drama.
literally nothing.
Nothing.
Of course we had the guacamole versus meatball debacle. That was absolutely sending
What do you
me.
think it was?
There's no way it wasn't the meatballs.
Okay.
Right?
But she said she did cook them her whole life and she's never had a problem.
Well,
can you get messed up from guacamole? I don't know. Is that a
Listen,
thing?
let me make something very clear. I believe with every fiber of my being that Susan makes the most perfect meatballs that you could ever desire
Sure.
or imagine. Like, don't get me wrong, and that they've always been perfect.
Uh-huh.
But like, it's not her fault if the ingredients were compromised.
It's true.
You know, like maybe the meat that the mansion provided was just like a day old.
Right?
You know?
True.
So I'm just
She didn't source the ingredients.
That's what I'm saying. So I think it has nothing to do with Susan's cooking. I'm just imagining the difference between meat and guacamole.
Who was it? Who was it that burst through the windows and was like, "It was always the meatballs"? Nancy, that was amazing. It was like, like she had just come back from the bathroom, was just like, "It's the meatballs." Like
Susan then too was saying, she was like, it wasn't Edith's perfect guacamole. It was because I ate so much of it, left it out, and then ate it the next morning for breakfast. So I assume it could have been that too, but I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows what the culprit was? But that clearly that house was really suffering. I mean, it was just a fart house. I mean, everyone was like, "It was the meatballs. It was the guacamole."
Well, I mean, I'll be real with you. The older I get, the more that gas pains,
the more you can be affected by
depending
food.
on what I eat. Yes, is definitely I've noticed affecting me. Like we've talked about before, I never fart. I'm just not
a farter.
My constitution does not carry such. And in the past year, not only am I getting a little stinkier with the body odor, I also am getting more gas pains when I notice I'm eating something and I'm like, oh my God.
Wow, are we renewing our vows right now?
So romantic. Hey, listen, mister, you're no spring chicken either.
No, it's just rare. You never fart.
I know, but the other night when I was,
That's true. We talked
and I
about
fell, yes, and then I
that.
also,
But it's also like a cute fart. It's like,
but that's the thing, I
it's
fell
not
asleep.
like,
I fell asleep on the couch the other night, and I awoke myself with a pop, and I'm like, oh my God, it was traumatizing. That's what it felt like. Sorry.
You know what's funny? It's like you're so. Sorry for all the fart talk, by the way.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
But
This is normally we always have. I've always been like, we don't like fart talk. Again, as we're getting older,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we just got to talk about it
Well,
because it's just part of life.
You know what's funny is like we have these little dogs, and every once in a while they'll fart, but they will be shocked
Diabolical.
by it.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while I'll see like Ashley fart. She'll kind of look.
She's like,
What
oh
was
my
that?
God.
You're like that.
Yeah.
Because you
well,
don't fart
it
ever.
doesn't
So it's like
happen.
if you fart, you're like, what? You're like looking back at yourself like, what is that?
I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Okay, back to these women. I mean, they're being incredible. I said, give Natasha her own talk show. She was coming out with like some powerful words. When Marina was saying we speak the same mantra from 22 to 102, we're women, we have power within us. Like straight up. It was incredible. Susan is saying how it was so powerful to her because she felt like she just got to help people just like get up. The reminder of like, hey, you know what? When you're feeling a certain way, get up, take a walk, call your friends. Like
100%.
it was powerful. And then we had a moment that made the first time I started crying and you wouldn't think that I guess this would make me cry.
Yeah.
But we got a message from Kris Jenner.
I mean, insane.
Incredible.
Insane.
We get a message from Kris Jenner, and it really is directed towards Susan because she's like, I have to shout out my favorite. I start bawling because in Susan's bio for the show, she's like, her dream lunch date is Kris Jenner. And I'm like, when did Susan think that she would be loved by the nation on a TV show looking for love, getting messages from Kris Jenner?
I mean, talk about a flip. It's like 2 months ago, you're just like hanging out with your kids, and next you're on TV talking to Kris Jenner.
And that's the
like,
reminder, like, it's like, it
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Like, it can still happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to not get stagnant in life, right?
Absolutely.
Like things, it doesn't matter. Like, things can start happening. And I love that this show is now letting us get into the lives of these amazing, amazing women. But I was sobbing.
Yes.
Literally sobbing. Ember, our daughter, watched part of the episode with me. And when Kris Jenner came on the screen, Ember is, by the way, a massive Susan fan. Obsessed with Susan. She talks about Susan all the time.
Huge fan.
She's like, Mom, can we send her a message? Like, I love her so much.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. Kris Jenner comes on the screen. Ember goes, who's that? And I'm like, Kris Jenner would not like that.
Yeah. You're like, careful. They probably know where we live. So easy.
I'm like, Ember? Shh. But the fact that, think about this. Guess what, Susan? My daughter is obsessed with you, and she doesn't know who Kris Jenner is.
In my daughter's world, you're more famous than Kris Jenner.
You are more famous and more beloved than Kris Jenner.
Congrats.
And that's all I want to say.
And that's all you need.
And
if you have Ember's approval, then you are good.
It's true. And it's tough to get. So shout out to you, Susan. Then we end up getting a hot seat with Joan. But before we dive into that hot seat, we have to take another quick pause.
Yes.
Family, if you have been around at all, you know how much I rave about Vegamore. It is my favorite for forever. It is all that I will use. My hair and my scalp have transformed thanks to Vegamore. You all know this over the years. Like, I am obsessed with Vegamore. It's changed my hair and my scalp. And guess what? Right now, Vegamore is having their biggest sale of the year. So clearly I will be stocking up for myself and for everyone else I love because it is the best.
Yes. With Vegamore, you are able to have visibly thicker, fuller, shinier, longer hair, all without the harsh ingredients. Vegamore's products are 100% cruelty-free and are never formulated with potentially harmful chemicals like parabens or hormones.
I love all of Vegamore's products, truly. Let me count the ways I love you, Vegamore. Seriously, I love you so much. Thank you for everything you've done for me. But I am so obsessed with their shampoo and conditioner because they so seamlessly integrate into my daily routine. They make it so easy with such amazing results. Also, their Grow Serum is unreal. I use it daily because consistency is key, and it doesn't make my hair oily, so it's easy to make it a daily deal. Fun fact, Vegamore sells one bottle of that Grow Serum every 15 seconds on their website. That is how good this stuff is, okay? I love it all, so I highly recommend Vegamore's value kits like the Grow Essentials kit because you get to try more than one amazing product at a great savings. And for a limited time, go to vegamore.com/momdad and use code MOMDAD at checkout to get in on Vegamore's biggest sale of the year during their Black Friday and Cyber Monday. That's vegamore.com/momdad, code MOMDAD to get the best deals on Vegamore's line of products. Vegamore.com/momdad, code MOMDAD. Okay, then we have Joan's hot seat.
Yep.
By the way, this feels like these are Golden Bachelorette auditions.
It does feel like that. Like they chose them specifically.
Yes, like the fact that Joan got a hot seat, right? And we didn't get to know Joan super well.
No.
So I felt like we got a Joan hot seat, we got an Ellen hot seat, and then of course later Faith. Those felt like, okay, the show might be giving these specific women hot seats for us to get to know them better and also see the audience's reaction of like who maybe they're tweeting about, posting about, getting
both
an
good
energy.
candidates.
Amazing. I mean, you can't go wrong with anyone in this cast. I mean,
No.
at the end of the day, that's
No,
bottom
it would
line,
be-
which
it
is
would actually be
which is
like,
incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
They're all characters too.
Yes.
There's not like there's no duds. Generally, there's like a chunk of duds where you're just kind of like chilling. Well, whatever. They don't really have much personality, but they're sweet and cool.
No.
But like every single one of them has like their own individual
Thing,
personality. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, in Joan's hot seat, they check in with her and, you know, watching her say her goodbyes to Gerry. She's crying. She's feeling emotional. But we do get an update that her daughter and granddaughter are doing amazing. And she does share with us that her daughter had a really serious case of postpartum depression.
Yeah.
And she's like, she needed her mom.
Yeah.
That made me emotional too. Such an important conversation to have on national television, talking about postpartum depression, and then seeing a woman like Joan being like, that's my baby girl. I'm dropping everything because I recognize that in this situation, like I could hear it in her voice, she needed her mom. And
super mom.
Yeah, absolutely super mom. She feels like they had a good potential chance of being together, her and Gerry.
Yeah.
But if anything, he made her feel visible. And on that exit interview, she was talking about how people of a certain age start to feel invisible. And we discussed that before, like what a powerful, impactful statement that is that we were processing. And she said, Gerry made me feel visible.
Beautiful.
And something else too, she just has like some zingers to the max, like really stick. She said that society makes us feel like we had our chance and now it's time to take a back seat and just support the next generation.
Yeah.
She was like, we can support the next generation and our kids and grandkids, but we don't need to take a back seat.
It's true. Yeah, it's kind of one of those weird things, you know, it's like as I get older, my body feels older, but I still feel like I'm in my 20s.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so then I feel still like I'm in my 20s and I'm well into my 30s. When I'm 70, I'm probably going to still feel like I'm
30s.
in my 30s or 40s. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to feel still like I want to go out and live and do things.
Of
and
course.
Like, just because you're older doesn't mean you should give up on love, hope.
Well, that's the thing.
Dreams,
it's then not just
careers.
like, oh, now it's just your obligation to, like she was saying, just support the next generation.
Exactly.
It's like, no, two things can happen.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we have Ellen's hot seat, and that was another one. We saw the show play again, her entrance where she's like, Roberta, we made it. And I just was, when I was watching this, I was like, man, I wish that we had that hometown.
I know.
But we end up finding out from Ellen that Roberta did pass before the season premiere. And when she got back to the show, you know, the timing of it, her dear friend was, she was in a coma, and she knew that she's like, I felt like Roberta was holding on to like have that moment with me.
Oof.
And, you know, then she said that she just told her like, hey, I want you to go be in peace, and we'll just watch this from two different places. And,
oh my gosh,
you know, it was an honor to hear her story because it was a different type of love story that we were let in on. Again, another reminder of like, this is a woman who had 60 years of friendship. And then we're surprised with Roberta's daughter, who just is sharing with Ellen, like what you've said, where it's like, you could just so feel from Ellen that she is such a lover and a giver. And we hear Roberta's daughter be like, you were the best friend my mom could have. You know, it was a lot.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful.
And like I said, it was a different type of love story that we saw. And I was so happy for Ellen that she had to got to have that moment too with Roberta's daughter. Yeah. Where it's like, even though Roberta wasn't around to see it, Roberta's family was, and now here's her daughter at the Women Tell All, and they're able to just have this moment together. Yeah. You know?
Oh, incredible.
Yeah. And then, you know, JP, God bless him, he's like, this is great, thank you so much, everybody, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay, like, it's just,
he's like, I don't really know how to do this sad stuff. I'm more the guy who just goes, you're about to see the most intense interaction we've ever had. But like, he's like, I wasn't trained in the like crying thing.
I feel like, you know, I feel for him because of course you have to cut to a commercial break, but there were a few moments, and he was hit by it. He was crying during the Ellen.
He did a funny move though, because he was crying and he grabbed his tear and he looked at it. And he like showed her. He's like, I am human. He's like, I haven't cried in 27 years.
Water.
He's like, I don't know if I drank too much water today, but I am leaking. Like, it was so funny. He literally showed her like,
no,
he's like, I'm crying too. Anyway, back to it.
I know that was, but no, he was like caught up in the
Yeah, he
emotion of
definitely
everything too. And so I feel for him, he's got to do the transitions, but there were a few moments that with Ellen and then later with Faith where I was like, a little bit jarring where I'm like, okay, I'm not ready for the commercial break in this moment where they're like, and at Walmart we
Charmin
have
Ultra.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
okay,
actually, it should have been sponsored by Charmin Ultra, but exactly. We weren't ready for the energy change, but
energy changed. But Ellen would be an incredible bachelorette.
She would.
This opportunity, she absolutely deserves it.
There's the storyline, the narrative there.
And also at the end of the day too, like just knowing if she does become bachelorette, like knowing Roberta, it's like, yeah, Roberta, like I really did it. Like not only did we get, you pushed me to go on the show and I did it and now I'm the bachelorette.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she'd be amazing.
Incredible.
I think she'd really be amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, then our man of the hour, the man of the hour shows up. Gerry is here. The crowd is literally chanting Gerry's name, absolutely chanting his name. Everyone is so excited to see him. Now, JP asks him how he's doing, and he's like, I'm doing okay. Haven't had a heart attack yet, but close. And I'm like, okay, the energy that I'm getting this is a lot.
It's a lot.
Like my heart, I just adore him so much. And my heart at this point is now starting to feel for Gerry in the way that it's like, it's all a lot.
It's worn. It's it's worn on him.
Yeah.
Like he's a super positive guy, but you could tell. And it also kind of gave me a little hint of like, ooh, what's coming up?
I know that's
the vibe I got. Was like he wasn't like great. Like I'm just happily driving my boat around with my wife. It kind of gave me like is he just playing it down? Is he trying to be sensitive to the other ladies, but not just being like, great? Is he just tired from the whole media process where he's like, to be honest, I'm over this?
Yeah, can you imagine how exhausting that is?
Exactly. So it's kind of hard to know if that kind of tired look he has anything to do with what's coming up.
Yeah.
And or maybe he's nervous about what's coming up and he's kind of like tentative about being
Or he
happy.
was nervous about seeing Faith again.
Yeah.
And, feeling emotions. It could have been a lot. But then we did see the preview for next episode for the Fantasy Suites where there's a scene where he's in that Tommy Bahama shirt and he is like having a breakdown. He's like, this is the hardest thing ever. And it was kind of giving me vibes of like, when the president goes into office and then leaves after 4 years and you're like, they definitely have aged. Like they're exhausted. Yes. That was like where I'm like, the production of this show is just so exhausting. Yes. It's just so intense that it's like by the end of this, it's just so much.
Yes.
But the second he sees his ladies, he turns from JP. He is greeted by his gorgeous women, and he is just like, I am so happy to see all of you.
Every one of you.
He's like, I love every single one of you. I am so happy.
Well, I mean, job well done.
Each of you. Job well done.
You know what I mean? Like this shows you can treat people with respect.
Surprise,
surprise. You can be balanced.
Yep.
You can be kind. And still have friends at the end of all this.
And look at this. You can even walk through heartbreak with some of these women.
Exactly.
And yet because you are respectful and respecting of them and loving towards them, we did not hear one negative word about Gerry.
Exactly.
We only heard like, it was so wonderful getting to know you. I love getting to know all these other women. And I've walked away with hope. And as Sandra said, not only are you a gentleman, you are a gentle man.
Which is exactly what he is. And I felt like as we get into Faith here, it was like I felt like his experience with the ladies, he handled it so well, right? But as we get further into the trenches, the heavier things get.
Of course.
The more heartbreak becomes a thing. The more... In the past, we have how could you do this to me? What changed? All that. And you could tell there's a lot of like, generally what happens is the Bachelor comes out. One of the last 3 people come to the couch. They sit. And there is like a lot of tension.
Yes.
It's generally not like, I'm just so happy to see you again.
It's not love.
It's generally like this is really hard for me to sit next to you. And thank you for telling me that. And I can understand that now, but it's going to take me time.
Yeah.
But the fact that the Faith interaction went the way it did showed you when 2 people respect and care for each other, even and it doesn't work out, you can still exit with grace.
Of course.
And I think that was like a real lesson in love for anyone out there.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to break hearts and leave people stranded. You can just be sad that you had to move on, but give people love through the whole process. And I feel like that was like what we're about to talk about is the most purest form of like love and respect through challenges.
Yeah, 100%. And listen, at the end of the day, I said this at the very first recap that we did. I said, I believe Gerry will be the best bachelor we've ever had. And I am standing by that. He is my favorite bachelor we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm in love with him.
Yes.
I'm simultaneously in love with him. And I've never felt that way about a bachelor.
Yeah.
I'm in love with him. I simultaneously didn't want him to like come into my family.
Yes.
It's like dad, grandfather. Like
Something.
he is love.
We'll find
he
his
is
space.
He is all. He is Aslan. He is Santa. He is everything to me. And he not only has just been so lovely through this whole thing, but like, you know, we're getting drama here at the end. We're also getting, you know, him expressing his heart and saying, I love you. And I mean, it's just, and then on top of it too, we're, you know, getting some of these spicy moments.
Yes.
Like when JP says, hey, Gerry, what do you feel now? Like when you were on this show and you were kissing all those ladies, were you thinking about the fact that your granddaughters were watching at home? And Gerry let us know, he goes, granddaughters be damned. Okay. I was having the time of my
Loved
life.
that.
And I love that moment because it was exactly like what Joan was talking about and what Nancy was talking about, where it's just like, you know, they see me as mom, but like now they're seeing me as a single woman. Like I am
Yes.
still this. And it's like his granddaughters, you know what? If mom and dad say, let's turn off the TV while grandpa's, you know, making out with all these ladies, great. You know what I mean? But like Gerry is a man looking for love. Let it all be damned. He's having the time of his life. And also when he's just like, yeah, when they're all just looking so glamorous, like how can I resist?
Yeah, no, I mean, the idea, I love that, like, there is that thing of a mixture of, like, I'm there, like the Joan, I'm there for my kids whenever they need me. I'm there if there's
Yes,
tragedy, blah, blah, blah.
yes.
And there's like the, hey, F off if I'm trying to have a good time and you have an opinion about it. You know what I mean? It's like that perfect
like,
dance of like,
sorry guys, like,
if
you
you're
know,
like, Dad, don't make out with all those girls. It's like, hey, I'm doing it.
like,
You know what I
I'm
mean?
a
It's not even
grown-ass
affecting
adult.
you. I might embarrass you a
Okay?
little bit, but
yeah, if you don't want to watch it on TV, you don't have to. You can turn on the off button.
hey, do you know when the next time I'm going to get a chance to date 30 women and make out with 5 women in a single night? Do you know when that chance is going to come? It's not going to come again. This is a once-in-a-life opportunity. Do not dare sit me down and tell me to behave myself.
Yeah, and also just like no more of this like, what was it like to know your son? What was it like to know your granddaughter? It's like, no, we don't hear any of that in the other Bachelor, Bachelorette. Like, let
Exactly.
these people live and live their romantic
I don't want all this
truths.
accountability.
No, get
while
off
I'm
my
trying to-
back. Get off my back, man.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, then though, you know, we see Gerry chat with
Yeah.
he has his moment with Joan, he has his moment with Ellen, with the other women, and it's all so lovely,
Yeah.
and everything's just so gracious, and they continue to echo the idea that like he provided hope for
Yeah.
them as they move forward, and he is beaming, he is happy to see the ladies again. And but then Jesse lets us know that we are going to see the wrap for the rose ceremony.
Yes.
And we are going to finally find out. And when I tell you, when I saw who he gave his rose to,
Shocking.
my jaw
It was insane.
was on the floor. They did it.
They did it. They messed with us.
they
They
did
really
it.
got us for the first time. Like really played with us in a big way.
And you know what's so funny is we even talked about this last week. I was like, you know, they might be getting at us. Like
it's too heavy-handed.
It's too heavy-handed. Like Theresa's gone, Faith is staying. I don't know. And even with that in the back of my head, I was still absolutely shocked.
Yeah, because Theresa, when you really do think about it, Theresa was a clear winner all the way through. The second they had that cafe date, I mean,
Sure.
he seemed to be pretty locked in with her. So it was.
But I guess maybe because there's been a little bit of drama and all of that, and he's had these moments where he gave her the last rose numerous times, I feel
That's
like.
true,
So
but-
I'm like,
I
what's
think that's the
going
show
on?
messing with us.
Yeah.
I think she was a lock through. So we definitely got played with the Faith thing. I definitely think, though, he was probably really close to. Maybe it was between the two, pretty tighter than maybe. I don't know, but I mean, because the Faith connection was
Well,
deep.
and then also too, at the end of the day, like typically he'd be after hometowns saying goodbye to the 4th.
Yeah.
And for Fantasy
That's
Suite
true.
having
They
3.
sped it up, yeah.
Which, again, I'm enraged.
Harsh.
You know, I get it. It's the new show, so like they were speeding it up a bit. But I'm like, hey, let the man have his 3 Fantasy Suite dates and continue to get to know everybody. Like,
Agreed.
I was shocked. And I can't believe that they didn't throw in a producer rose and say, you know what, Faith, we'll keep.
I think they should have. Because Faith was so good that I think he needed more time probably to really suss it out.
I agree.
But let's get into the Faith experience here.
Okay. Yeah. Let's get into Faith. But before that, quick pause. Family, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So, you know, I love this season with the holidays and all, but it can also be a lot. It can bring up a lot, whether that be family, seasonal blues, the end of the year fear. This time of year, it can be a lot, and it's natural to feel some sadness or anxiety about it. So adding something new that's positive in your life can counteract some of those feelings. Therapy, okay? Therapy can be a bright spot amid all of the stress and change, something to look forward to, a way to process all of it, to make you feel grounded and to give you the tools to manage everything going on. You know, we are huge advocates of therapy. It's changed both of our lives for the better. It's changed our relationship for the better. And I'll be honest, I typically up my therapy sessions during this time of year. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try.
Yeah, this time of year can feel really lonely, and I definitely feel the positive impact of therapy during this this season. BetterHelp is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, which is especially helpful during this time of year when your schedules can be more stressful and unpredictable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapist anytime with no charge.
They really do make it so convenient, so easy. Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/momdad today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/momdad, BetterHelp.com/momdad. So after Gerry gives the rose to Theresa and is saying goodbye to Faith, which, by the way, an audible gasp from the studio audience. So it wasn't just us, obviously.
Everyone was
Everyone is shocked. Even Jesse Palmer brings it up to Faith after he's like, you must have been blindsided because we're all shocked right now. But when Gerry takes Faith out to say goodbye, definitely I was taking note. I was like, wow, I mean, she is being very like, it's okay. I understand. Very calm. Also, like, you know, not saying too much. And it's kind of like, it's okay. And I was like, okay, I'm surprised. Like, this is interesting. Like, their connection seemed so intense. And he was also being pretty like, I'm so sorry. You know, you're wonderful.
It wasn't the like thing we were expecting.
I was expecting it to be a pretty explosive, like in the sense of emotional exit. But then we're seeing Faith in the live studio audience watching this goodbye back, and Faith is sobbing. And then when we have her moments with Jesse Palmer, it's all hitting and it makes sense. It's like she says she was in shock.
She said she was numb in the limo.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And she said something in the limo that hit me so hard. She said, I'm just so worried about my family and I'm so worried about my kids because they finally were thinking maybe I don't have to worry about mom anymore. Which, first of all, is just a picture into who Faith is. That she's right away like, this was going to be a relief for my children.
Yeah.
Second, this is where, sorry, I was like really hit because, you know, my mom has been single for like 15 years. And it's something that as her daughter, like I hadn't really thought about that, like, you know, she's looking for love and she wants to be with someone again. But like, thinking that my mom probably also is thinking about, you know, if I find someone, then like maybe Jess doesn't have to feel as worried about me all the time. You know, because I do. Like, I worry about my mom. And I worry about then like her feeling lonely and her safety and all of that. And like thinking about that's another added piece of what can be really difficult.
Yeah.
You know, and I was thinking about like when my mom had been in a relationship for a while and then she had a breakup and the breakup was so hard on her that like she probably was also thinking like, damn, like now that this wasn't working out. Like, this is something that my daughters are also worried about. Like, thinking then outside of even your own heartbreak, like, you're also thinking about your kids.
Yeah. It's a lot of weight to carry.
And that was just something that was like, I think a really necessary, that's why I keep saying the show is so like necessary and good. It was like a very necessary reminder for me as a child to think about that when my mom, you know, is dating or when she is looking for love or when she's alone, like to be aware that like she's also carrying that burden as well, you know,
100%.
And to try to do my best as her child to communicate to her that like you don't have to carry that burden. I know that's impossible to say to a parent or like a caretaker, but just to do my best to make sure that that burden is not something that is like heavily weighing on her.
Agreed.
You know?
Agreed.
But yeah, that like
heavy
hit me.
Yeah.
And yeah, Faith. So when she's talking to Jesse, she's like you said, she said she was numb, and then it all hit her.
Yeah.
She really thought that Gerry was her person, and we then have Gerry come out, and
that hug, that first hug, was like, oh, you can't script that, you can't act that. And
we've never seen that before.
Yeah, and I think it showed two things. One is it showed how truly empathetic this man is. Where, like, let's say he's with his person.
Yeah.
Right? If you got it, it's really hard to be, you know what I mean? To kind of take yourself out of, like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And to really feel for someone.
Yeah.
But he, like, was back to that night when they broke up. And it was like they got to have the moment they didn't get to have.
Yeah.
And I think they both were in shock, and they both kind of said bye quickly, and it was over. And she had obviously been sitting with it for a while now. And that hug represented, like, we had something really special.
I mean, they were holding each other and both crying.
Both crying.
And that hug went, like, after all the studio audience, like, applause died down. Like, that, they did not move. It was like they were caught in time. And, you know, they sat down. There was even that moment, it, like, literally broke my heart into a million pieces when she was like, oh, I'm sorry, I keep touching you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just felt like no one was there. I felt like we were in on an intimate moment, and that they weren't even aware of the crowd anymore. They weren't aware of the TV anymore. They were just sharing this thing. And, you know, for me, it was like they start talking, and I was blown away by Faith's ability to love him still.
Yeah.
And not be mad.
Yeah.
Or heartbroken in a way of, like, frustration. But in a way of, like, I totally get it, but you're amazing, and I'm still think we could have been together.
Yeah.
But you could have not done a better job. I respect you as a man. I respect you as a person. Thank you for this journey. And that, I think, is a true testament to how incredible Faith is, because Faith had every right to feel blindsided.
Yeah, 100%.
And not, like, you know, mad because he's a bad guy or anything, but just a feeling of, like, wait a second.
Like, you said all these things.
Did you play
in front of
me?
my family.
All
yeah,
these
yeah,
things,
yeah.
you know? And I felt like she didn't go there at all. She didn't let herself go there. She just said, like, I know that you're a good person, and I know that things happen, and I'm not holding anything against you. And it's just hard. And I just thought, like, man, like, what a lesson for any of us whenever something hard goes down. Is it's like, you can have the vitriol, you can have hate, you can have anger, or it's like, but you're the only one that's going to suffer. And then when he brought up his apology, that was next level. When
he started crying and he said, you know what I feel the worst about is that I made a promise to your family and I broke that promise. And he kept saying, he's like, it was awful. And he was crying, and, you know, and she's like, it's okay. Like, they understand. It was like what we were talking about earlier, where you just feel the energy of this show that just feels different. It doesn't feel like, you know, necessarily like here for the followers.
Yeah.
It's here for love,
you
know, because I don't feel like we've ever seen a lead, because he wasn't before that, he brought that up. He wasn't like trying to like sidestep or backtrack. He was very much owning his decision. He was like, here's the bottom line. I had 3 incredible women. And at the end of the day, like, you just weren't the right,
he said that
the right one, which he wasn't like, you know, cushioning the
no,
truth.
he said, but what I love what he said was, he said, just because like we didn't end up together doesn't mean you're less lovable.
Yeah.
It just has to do with the right fit.
Yeah.
And I thought, what a great like lesson again for anyone out there who's single, who gets broken up with,
Yeah.
who was feeling I'll never find someone, or that what's wrong with me that person didn't like me, is like, no, it just wasn't the right fit. And you can't take that personal, because you there's someone who's not the right fit for you who you have to feel that way towards.
Sure.
And you know it's not just a personal thing. So
but I'm saying like he wasn't, though. He was speaking truth.
That's what I'm saying. He was owning that
Right.
fact.
So
that,
then
like, you could have been it, but I just had to find the right fit.
Right.
You know?
But then it was like, I don't feel like we've ever seen a lead who was like standing by and not sidestepping, but then
Yes.
also without getting pushed to, on their own accord, was like, I need to say this to you.
Yeah.
I did something that I find to be awful.
He didn't have to do that.
No.
He could have just been like, hey, we all know
Yeah.
this is life and this happens.
Or we get this process.
Yeah,
We all
and
signed
you know,
up
we all
for
know we
this,
say
blah, blah,
stuff
blah.
that like could hurt, but like the fact that he said, no, I shouldn't have done that, or I should have been aware of, maybe he probably was thinking to himself, like, I should have not said that. I should have been aware of how that would come across. I'd get your hopes up, or basically confirmed to your family that you're the one in a lot of ways. And the fact that he owned, like, you know what, I shouldn't have done that. I messed up. I'm so sorry. And the fact that she was like, don't be sorry. I love you. Like, I mean, just the maturity level is off the charts.
It was just so much love.
Yeah, it was just love.
It was so much love. It was overwhelming. I feel like all of America was like silent in that moment watching that. Like you could hear a pin drop because you just saw 2 people. And then also what you were saying as well, like, you know, with Faith just being absolutely incredible through this, I felt like we saw 2 people who were simultaneously loving on each other and seeing the other person through something that was difficult.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like, even though my heart is hurting, I'm understanding your perspective in it, and I'm not going to make excuses. I'm just going to be there with you and sit in this.
I mean, it shows you when 2 people care for each other equally, even if it doesn't work out. It shows you how healthy you can communicate, as opposed to just looking out for themselves.
Yeah.
I think when you're just looking out for yourselves, that's when it's all about how much you hurt me, how much I hurt you, pay the balance, the toll. But when you're just caring for each other, that's when you can kind of look past all the little things and just say, hey, thank you for this experience. You're amazing. No, you're amazing. We got each other's back. Let's still be connected. You know what I mean? I just think.
And on top of that, too, we were seeing the love from the women.
Yeah.
Because as Faith was sitting up there crying, we hear the women from the side being like, we love you, Faith. You're amazing. As she's sitting with Gerry then, and they are crying, talking about how much they care for each other, you see the women and they're crying. Ellen is crying, who was so heartbroken that they ended up, you know, ending. And essentially Faith was one of the people who took her potential rose.
Exactly.
And she was feeling and hurting for her friend and like aching for both of them. We see Susan bawling. And I'm like, this is again something like I don't feel like we've ever seen. Like we're seeing through their heartache, because they weren't chosen by this guy that they were falling in love with or starting to fall in love with or whatnot, that like they're still all lifting each other up and feeling for each other and supporting each other.
They defanged the show.
Yeah, they
It
did.
pits people against each other. And they're like, no, we're going to support each other through this. You can't force us to be unnecessarily competitive.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Which is the opposite of where we're headed next.
Yes, the opposite of where we are headed next with Bachelor in Paradise. We do, though, by the way, get the preview for Golden Bachelor, which looks, like we said before, like it's going to be extremely stressful. We have Leslie and Theresa as the top 2. I really don't know, because I have been saying I think it's Leslie. But now I'm like, I don't know, man. Like,
if we can be blindsided like that,
I don't know what's going to happen.
Who knows?
I don't know what's going to happen.
2 very different women, 2 very different vibes, different energies. It'll be really interesting to see
it's
where he goes with this.
It's gonna be.
I personally think he's made up his mind.
Oh, really?
I don't think this man is very undecided. I think his biggest problem is empathy for breaking up with someone.
Okay.
So just like he broke up, he wasn't with the faith thing. He wasn't like, I don't know what to do. He said, I know what I need to do. It's just hard.
Yeah.
I think,
and I feel like a lot of the faith thing, by the way, had to do with the fact that she probably had her ranch, and
Yeah.
it was how is that going to work out?
Exactly.
Because you're going to
I
stay
agree.
there, and I don't know if I'm going to move. I think I need to stay where Tony in my house is.
So
you know?
personally, I think he's already made up his mind.
Yeah.
I think he just has to process, like, how am I going to, we're so down to the wire here.
Interesting.
Both of them think it's done deal. That's what I think about him. I think he's a decided
Yeah.
dude, I think, but he just is so empathetic that it crushes him thinking he has to break someone's heart.
Yeah, you could be right.
That's my personal opinion.
Well, we'll see next week. And then, yeah, the episode wrapped. And at the end of the episode, by the way, but of course, Gerry, JP says goodnight to everybody. And you see Gerry lean in and go, great job.
yeah.
It was like dad popped in and was like,
Yeah.
son, you
Hey,
did
I just want to say
you
are doing
did
a
some
great job.
incredible work.
To all those people out there that say he only works 3 hours a week, that is not
no,
true.
he is absolutely
is.
fantastic.
He
I love you so much,
He's
Jesse.
precious.
He's absolutely darling.
He's a darling man.
So we'll see next
Yeah.
week. Let's get into Bachelor in Paradise.
Take me to
this
the beach.
week.
I want to go to the beach so bad.
Baby,
I wanna,
let's go to the beach. But
I wanna
before we go to the
paradise.
beach, let's take one more quick
Yes.
pause. One more quick pause. Family, I am thankful for Gerry. I am thankful for all of these women. And quite frankly, I am thankful for Honey Love, okay? Because as someone who wears bras and shapewear, there is nothing worse than when they are uncomfortable. And with a lot of brands, that can quite often be the case, but not with Honey Love. Honey Love has revolutionized the bra and shapewear game. Truly, you can say goodbye to uncomfortable underwire and bulky fabrics that trap heat. Honey Love's bras feature supportive bonding that eliminates the need for underwire without sacrificing lift. Genuinely, when I have a Honey Love bra on, I forget that it's there. I never have that get this off me feeling with the bra at the end of the day. It's so comfy, I forget about it, which is just ideal. And when I say every piece I have gotten from Honey Love is great, I mean it. I'll give you two of my personal favorites. For bras, it's the crossover bra. So comfortable. It gives all the support of traditional bras without using any underwires. And I love the little mesh detailing because it just adds a touch of sexy, which I like. For shapewear, I'm obsessed with their Super Power Short. I like it because it's a short and I personally like coverage in short dresses. It doesn't roll up because of its flexible boning, which is incredible. It works so well. It's so comfortable. And also, it is bathroom friendly. Hello. Thank you, Honey Love. Treat yourself to the best bras and shapewear on the market and save up to 50% off site-wide at honeylove.com/momdad this month only. Inventory is limited and the sale ends soon, so do not miss their best deals of the year. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you. That's honeylove.com/momdad for up to 50% off this month only. It's time to ditch the underwire for good thanks to Honey Love. honeylove.com/momdad. Okay, it is beach time, baby.
Beach time, baby.
The drama, baby.
The drama, the toxicity,
Oh my God.
the immaturity, the jabs. Let's do it.
Well, I'll say, a big portion of this episode was kind of the pinnacle of the Kat, John Henry,
Yeah.
Olivia triangle
Yes.
of it all. My God.
Dude.
We'll get into that. But just off the top, Olivia, I say it every week, and it gets more and more true. I couldn't love you more.
The ITM
I
queen, first of all.
Couldn't love you more. The ITM queen, the way that she is moving. And then at the end, the ITMs when Michael comes in. I mean, just taking us on a journey, on a roller coaster. And then by the end, when Michael shows up, I'm grinning ear to ear with her ITMs. Like, she brings so much joy
It's just like,
and beauty and charisma.
it's just personality.
Oh my God.
Like, someone with a great personality, no offense, really sticks out on this beach. I'm not trying to be like mean here. I'm just
Like,
saying
that's kind of rude.
it's kind of rude, but like, man, like when you got like Olivia has a 10 out of 10 personality, and it really bumps above the rest.
I mean, Olivia is though just like, I mean, so next level with like
Yes.
just everything about her.
Absolutely.
Like, she is just an absolute goddess. But we do start off this episode with the conversation with Charity and Eliza. And here's the bottom line. Essentially, you know, this had come from Kat saying before to Eliza that Charity has only given warning to stay away from Aaron. And of course, Eliza is just like, what? Oh my gosh. It's like, what do I have to process and think about now?
Yeah.
Charity essentially lets Eliza know, and we don't get tons of details about it, which I am happy about too, because I feel like that if we were given, I mean, maybe they talked a bunch of details, but if on the show we were given a ton of details, it might have like cracked open all these questions that probably were like not necessary. I don't know if there have been receipts, tea floating around. I haven't seen any yet. We'll see if that ends up coming to the surface. But, you know, Charity just let Eliza know. She's like, listen, here's the bottom line. God, I love Charity so much.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just...
Talk about someone who has a head on their shoulders. You know
she's
what I
just
mean?
a queen.
She's a queen.
But she just said, hey, listen, I'll just tell you what I know and you can take it for what it is. I know Aaron from the show.
Yeah.
Everything was great with Aaron on the show.
Mhm.
And then I come home to tons of DMs, not only to me, but also to my family and friends from an ex-girlfriend of his, essentially saying that we were dating and then he didn't tell me about the show or something like that. And then he went on the show, which again wasn't fully clear if like this ex-girlfriend was saying that they were together when he went on the show or if like he broke up with her to go on the show. I don't know. I'm not sure. But Charity just lets Eliza know that. And then she says, hey, like, again, all I can go off of is like, this is what I know of Aaron from the show. He always seems to move with good intentions, but then I was getting blown up in the DMs and so are my family and friends. So, but of course, when you have friends going on the beach and they're saying, hey, tell us about all the guys from your seasons, and you're going through the list, but of course Charity's going to be like, he was great. Aaron was great. Just FYI, I was getting blown up in the DMs. Not sure what that's about. I don't know this person or whatever. So just as a heads up, that might be something that leads to like complicated conversations.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like, which is what I thought it was going to be.
About it.
And then she just encourages Eliza, like, this is what I've known of him. It's been great. But you know, you're probably going to have some tough conversations,
Figure this out.
which I also think was like, it wasn't said, but what that probably includes, which probably a lot of people who are then just viewers of the show don't have to process, is it's also like, hey, just FYI, this might be something that's talked about off the show, which could lead to a lot of complicated conversations off the show and, you know, late night talks that you guys both have to deal with. So just as a heads up.
My whole thing with this whole thing is two parts.
Yeah.
Number one is to support what you're saying, which is like it probably wasn't a big conversation between Kat and Charity.
Yeah.
Is that like Kat brings it up like weeks in as opposed to right away when she, you know, if it was like bad, like you had the receipts showing all this cheating and everything, then you're like, Kat would have brought it up right away and said, hey, by the way, I know you're interested in him, but like this is just so you know, whatever. But like the fact that it's like right when she's single, she drops it on her 3 weeks into them dating. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And again, who knows?
Who knows? But I'm just saying,
we have no
like,
idea, so I'm not going to sit here and speculate. But, you know, like Charity said, it's like what I know is of him on the show and what I know of him personally. And that's a conversation that the two of you can, you know, deal with.
Yeah.
And then we have a conversation where I love then that Charity pulls Aaron.
Yeah.
And they sit down together. And, you know, Aaron is like, hey, my ex hasn't contacted me. So I'm so sorry that you're getting blown up. I just found that out now that you and your family are getting sent all of these things. And that's frustrating to me. I'm so sorry. I didn't want this to have to happen. And Charity essentially is just like, listen, you know, you need to now just focus on your time here with Eliza.
Yeah.
And if you need to remember why you're here. And if you want to make this work, you need to be transparent and communicative with her. And I feel like she just gave him then some really wise words of like, don't just try to like sweep this under the rug.
Yeah.
You know, probably when you all get off the show, if you do end up staying together, that this will be something that comes up. So don't sweep it under the rug. Move together with this. Have transparent conversations. And like, best of luck to you.
Yes.
And it was a really sweet moment between the two of them, more than you saw Aaron just like take a deep breath and be like, okay, like had this conversation with Charity, you know, it was good. And it was just it was like, it was actually one of those moments where you're like, oh my God, what a wonderfully healthy moment on the beach.
Agree. Yeah. So one of the very few.
It was like, oh my gosh, Charity, our queen, is just coming down and being like, hey, everybody, just communicate with each other and be transparent and move from there.
Yeah. The only thing I would have said is maybe, it's hard to know, maybe Aaron should, because Aaron did admit to knowing about the drama before he came on the show.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have, told Eliza, like,
for sure.
Hey, just this kind of happened, and I dated this girl, and in using his words, like she's wild, and started saying all this stuff about me. It's not true, just so you know. But you might hear about it, but I just want to be super upfront about it. Whenever you leave that kind of stuff out and it bites you later, it looks like you're hiding it. Yep. So then I also sympathize with Eliza being like, I move forward in trepidation. I move forward with a hesitancy a little bit, and I kind of got to be won back. But I will say, seeing Aaron kind of quote win her back with like breakfast and letters and showing how I want to choose you every day and stuff. I do feel like the guy, if he is faking it, he's doing an amazing job. Sure. But all signs point to like a genuine guy who's very in love, and but it's funny because he's really bad at like not showing everything on his face, because he's just like, he always just looks like, don't break up with me. Like I'm a minute away from being broken up. I'll do whatever it takes. He's kind of got that like nervous energy.
Sure.
So hopefully it works out with them, and hopefully
echoing what you said though about, him then like what probably would have been the best thing is for him to just be like forthcoming about that this might get brought up. I do feel like that's kind of what Charity was alluding to when she's just like, just move forward with transparency and communication.
Thank God she came down. Because what if she would have never come down and just Kat's words are the only things laying there? It might be the end.
I know. And that's why I was like, Charity came down and absolutely saved the day. She was just
Kat,
like,
the great destroyer.
No, Charity came down and was just like, okay, hold up. This is what the perspective I've seen. This is what I've heard. You all can, it seems like you could absolutely work, but like you're gonna have to communicate and be open with each other, and it might be tough, but like it is what it is.
Exactly.
And Aaron, when he did have his conversation with Eliza, and she also just handling it like an absolute superstar, and he, she said, she's like, I believe you. Yeah. I believe you. And you saw just like the relief wash from him. But,
and it definitely was like, I choose to believe you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I got to kind of let this fade away a little bit. I'm a little on edge right now, but I choose to believe you, which I thought was important.
Yes, totally. And throughout the rest of this episode, like you said, he was showering her with the bacons and the eggs and the love notes.
He's just outside her bathroom. Did you do toilet paper? You good on toilet paper? Okay,
cool. You good? You
He
clear?
was definitely like I got to mop the floor up a little bit,
Totally. And then, throughout the episode, it was just like, he tells her that he's falling in love with her. She doesn't respond, which I loved, where she's like, hold up. We just had this. I said I
did feel a little bit like, easy, bud.
Yeah, you got it.
Like you're looking a little like you almost broke up, and now you're like proposing. It's like, okay, hold on.
Just hold up. I know that you're feeling all the feels,
feel like you're forcing this to like make her not feel bad anymore. It's like,
which we all know from the ITMs that he was planning on doing anyway.
Yeah, but it's like time. Give it another week, maybe.
Like, whew. But she doesn't respond back, but she does. She loves it. Yeah. They're like having their exclusive moments together. And with that being said, it was the guy's rose that week. So I felt like that really spoke to the fact that Aaron is like all in with Eliza. Like that could have been his time to be like, well, I have the rose this week, so I'm kind of kicking back.
Yeah.
But this was the week then that he was like, I'm going to make it known for you that I am falling in love with you. I just want to be with you. Here's the breakfasts. Here's everything, even though I have the rose. And if I was Eliza, that would make me feel really special.
Yes, I
like
agree.
this is the week that all the guys are coasting and you're really putting in the work. And I appreciate that.
I agree.
All signs point to green flags in that way. So all the well wishes to these two. I do feel like they could make it work.
I agree.
I think they're the one couple that could leave this beach
I agree.
together.
And
I
they
guess
also,
there's Avon and Kylie, but I don't know. I'm just not feeling.
I don't know.
I'm just not
Maybe.
feeling. We're also not seeing them like at all, but I'm not feeling quite as much of the like deeper connection like I am with Aaron and Eliza. So I don't know. I feel
we also
if they're able to work through this, I feel like
it's a done deal.
Yeah.
I also they also haven't been like pining over anyone else or like trying to go out on other dates or saying yes to, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if someone comes down and tries to yank Eliza and is, and goes like, will she go? I don't know. That will be the test.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure the show will do.
Well, but of course.
They're like, oh, they look real comfy.
But of course. Well, as this is all happening, we have the cat, John Henry, Olivia of it all.
It's my birthday week. I can do whatever I want. It's my birthday week.
As we all know, when it is your birthday week, you are the queen. You get to do anything you want.
Anything you want. I'm not paying my taxes. It's my birthday week. You know what I mean?
Totally. Wells, though, had with the shade when he was talking to Olivia and Eliza, he's like, I get to observe everyone from my position. And it seems to me like I think Kat just likes everybody. And I'm like, okay, Wells.
I love that. Well, Wells definitely has a lot of opinions that they edit out.
Oh,
you know what I mean? He doesn't do the sweet, he doesn't do the like Switzerland version. He does. It's always like, they're probably cutting out a lot, using it every once in a while.
Oh, absolutely. But, we then see that she is continuing her John Henry pursuit. In fact, we get a moment where we see John Henry saying, what didn't you like about Tanner? And Kat says, I just never felt the pull initially. I just never felt the draw.
Meanwhile, she was just like, how could you do this to me? And like,
there's a lot of revision going on in some of these.
Dude, revisionist history is absolutely
there's
her
a lot
brand.
of I never was interested in him. I never felt it originally. Cut to watching 2 episodes ago where she was just like, I never felt this way about Brandon.
And John Henry's so gullible where he's like, John Henry, why would you even ask the question, what didn't you like about Tanner? Because you saw him break up with her. So I know you think that she came back and said, I broke up with him, but let's be very real. She was totally down with him, 100% locked in. He went on one date and all of a sudden she broke up with him. Like, please, dude.
You know what? That's actually so funny. I didn't think about that. The fact that like
he watched them together.
That Tanner ended things.
Tanner goes on a date, comes back. They have one conversation and she goes back and goes, I broke up with his ass. It's like, I think that's why that's why we have John Henry and Kat together.
Yeah.
Is because he's swept up in her enough to be like, oh, there's no way this is about the rose. Oh, she broke up with Tanner. Oh, she just likes me. Oh, she's not mad at, he probably has no idea that her and Olivia have a beef. Like, he's just kind of floating around and he's just like, oh, this other girl likes me. Maybe there's a connection here.
Coconuts on rocks and enjoying his time there.
Like, he's definitely like, what didn't you like about Tanner? It's like, oh my God.
Now, this is what I'm very curious about. I'm interested to see if we have the beach splits up in the next week or two, because I feel like we're starting to see rumblings of a divide.
There's groups.
It feels like there's groups happening.
We got the Avon, Mercedes,
Kylie,
Tyler,
Kat, and
crew.
now John Henry seems to
Henry's kind of,
he's now going to probably
he
be
just
part
goes
of that.
wherever he's and then you have the rest, and they seem to be kind of going. There seems to be.
Well, then there's kind of middle people. I feel like Blake and Jess,
they're in the middle,
and Peter and Sam are kind of floating. Because
you kind of have Jess is kind of friends with that crew, and then Blake seems to be a little more closer to the other crew, and they seem to be a little less like because like you see Kat walking up with Jess to the rose ceremony.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, there was that moment where we see Tanner, Olivia, Eliza, and Aaron watching Kat with John Henry, which, by the way, the commentary was like cracking me up. But then we have also part of that is going to be the Bradens because he was burned by Kat. It's almost like everyone who got burned by Kat is now, because think about this, Tanner burned by Kat. Olivia burned by Kat, Aaron B, and Eliza because of the whole Aaron B thing burned by Kat, Braden burned by Kat. So it's
she should start a brand called Burned by Kat.
And so it's almost like that's where the beach has divided. We're seeing this whole crew kind of observing Kat and like making their commentary, and then we're seeing the other crew then sitting with Kat and commenting on everybody else. So I feel like we're gonna see some split that might lead to some division.
Because you saw later Kylie make another comment about Olivia going, well, if she doesn't get this date, the whole beach is going to be up in flames. And I'm like,
right. And I was like, wait,
what?
For
Are you talking about Kat?
I was like, wait.
Like Olivia's going to light the beach on fire if she doesn't get a date? I think you're getting you're starting to lose
confused
it over here.
Because let's be real. Like, yes, Olivia gives us some like absolute fire flames ITMs, but all that we've seen of Olivia is anytime Olivia is struggling or gets burnt on the beach, she becomes more introverted. She gets quiet.
Yes.
Like she does not catch the beach on fire like Kat does. Olivia goes inward and is like quiet and kind of sitting off to herself. There is no energy of like, I'm going to disrupt things here by any means.
Agreed.
So no, we'll see if this division does end up happening. But I will tell you, one of my most favorite things that is happening is this Tanner Olivia relationship.
Yes.
Tanner and Olivia,
they're kind of like besties.
They're like absolute besties.
Like at first I was like, maybe there's a thing there, but then I'm not seeing it now. It's more like they're just besties.
I know, at first I was like, is there something to explore here? Like, are you all kind of friend zoning each other, but like actually you could like get to know each other and like it might be a thing. But throughout this episode, and we've been seeing it, but especially this episode, Tanner and Olivia are like so tight. Tanner is always, even in the ITMs, he's just like, she deserves the world.
They're trauma bonded.
Honestly, he's like, she deserves the world. And he's always checking in on Olivia. They're working out together. They're laying on the day beds. He's just like, you got this. And he's like, I can't believe Kat would do this again. And they're like, they're very sweet together.
Yeah. And then when John Henry came to take Olivia to talk, he said something like, be nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's like, hey.
He's like big brother coming and being like,
be nice to my girl.
hey, listen here.
Easy.
And then after John Henry and Olivia talked and she came back to the day beds, he was like, listen, the reason that you've been getting hurt is because you're such a wonderful person and you've just had your heart so open. And I'm just like,
I love Tanner. You already know how I feel about Olivia, but like, I love Tanner now even more so. He seems like such a good guy.
They are very sweet together.
Love their
relationship. Love their relationship.
Besties.
And now I have the fantasy, I love my fantasies. I have the fantasy that they text constantly.
Yes.
That they're just like constantly, like while the show is airing, that they're just texting back and forth with their commentary. Yes. I love them. But the next day we're seeing, the kind of who's forming as a couple because we're about to have the rose ceremony. We have the Tyler and Mercedes clarifying, like Tyler's like, you don't need to be nervous about tonight.
Which is so crazy to think that he just made out with Jess like the day before.
Well,
like,
and then
dude, you were right. They never talked about it. Like what?
No.
Like, are we just brushing over the fact that like they kind of cheated? You know what I mean?
No.
Not actually cheated, but you know what I'm saying? But like, it's cheating only in the way of it was a secret makeout.
Listen, like no one.
While you're coupled with someone.
They're not exclusive. Everyone's dating on the beach, but
it is absolutely like drama.
It's drama. And then we see Jess talking to Mercedes, and Mercedes is like, how do you feel about Blake? And they're processing that. And we have no moments where Jess tells Blake, yeah, I connected with Tyler. We have no moments where Tyler's telling Mercedes, yeah, I connected with Jess. And I'm like, I think I might be right. Where no one knew about this.
This has to come out later, though. It has to come out later.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it has already, and I'm not aware. But
there's no way that people are at home watching this, and Mercedes is just sitting next to Tyler on the couch going, what?
But here's my thing. Maybe it got edited out because maybe Mercedes and Blake didn't make a thing about it, because there was a moment where later in the episode we see Mercedes and Tyler on a daybed after he gives Mercedes his rose, and she is just like, hey, I really appreciate you being so honest with me. And he's like, yeah, I feel like I can be super transparent with you. So I'm wondering if he shared with her that he kissed Jess, like later. If he says, hey, I kissed Jess, but like, hey, I want to pursue things with you. There wasn't as much there as I thought, blah, 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 blah. And then he was honest with her, because I'm like, why did they just say that? They were having a conversation about something before.
Just seems like a wild thing for the show to edit out. Like, of all the
If there was
things.
no drama, though, right? Let's just say Mercedes was kind of like, oh, okay. And Blake was like, oh, okay.
Show the tapes.
Show us the tapes. Now, so I assume that moment was
resolved.
Was what I'm saying. I assume then they had that moment of like, thanks for being honest with me. And Tyler's like, I feel so safe being honest with you. That's what they were talking about, because what else would it be? If it's not, and he didn't share with her, that's a wild conversation to have, where she's saying, thank you for being so honest with me.
Oh,
and
my God.
like, I feel so safe to be honest with you. So I want to know. Somebody, I mean,
we'll see. I mean, they might come out later.
Yeah, I guess if
You
they
never
have
know.
I don't know if they're doing a after the beach.
No, I'm saying it could come out later when Jess says, but I made out with Tyler, by the way, to Blake. And then Blake says it to Mercedes. How did you handle that? She goes, what? I mean, it could later on come out.
That's true. I don't know.
Which
why
I hope
I'm
it does, because it's dramatic.
but that's happening. We have, the moment with Jess and Blake, where they're sitting laying on the daybed. I know.
Come back and be like, I missed you. Let's be back together. I was like, wait, what?
Well, yeah, Jess right away is like, I missed you. I missed your compliments. I like dressing up and you complimenting my outfits. It's fun.
So cute and so like 23.
Yeah.
Just like everything about you is that you compliment me when I look pretty. Like, what a cute, just like way to look at the world.
Remember, we
mean?
saw her in the episode before where she
like,
had the bikini
top
on, and she's like, it's so pretty, but like Blake hasn't said anything about it yet. And she's like, and Mercedes is like, well, you guys are like taking a beat. And she's like, yeah, but like he hasn't said anything about it yet.
So cute.
It's a very sweet. I very much relate to it. I'm like, we love a compliment, compliments only.
Of course.
But it felt young.
Of course.
And it felt like missing someone's compliments is probably not like where to start a relationship, because
it's not like what you say at your wedding vows. You're like, and I love that you just compliment me a lot. It's
Yeah.
like, you're going to need something extra.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, let's just say Blake would have been gone and she was getting tons of compliments from like the Tanners and the Tylers.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have felt different for her. So I'm still, that's a big question mark for me.
We'll see.
Even though we do see, clips of them macking and everything in the next episode before our girl Katie Thurston shows up.
Looking forward to it.
So excited for that. But Blake is just like, my mind was drifting to you during the date, and then Blake says, you're the only person I want here. I want to press the green light here. And so Blake's all in. I'm shocked. I thought after the Genevieve date, I thought Blake was vibing with Genevieve.
I agree.
So I was really thrown off.
I completely
to be honest.
agree.
But like it was, yeah.
I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like I just don't see it.
I just don't see it working.
I'm like, the more I see it, the more I don't see it.
Correct.
But
two lovely
maybe
people,
two
but
lovely
I just
people.
don't
I just am not
see it.
seeing the electricity. I'm not seeing the like. What are they talking about? That I'm like, that's what I'm not seeing. I don't see the like conversation.
I'm
flowing.
also wondering too, and I really don't know Jess in this way, so I probably like shouldn't even be, who am I to talk? But like, I guess I've seen Blake out and about adventuring with other people from the franchise. Like you see Kendall, Sam. He just posted him and Rachel are like adventuring together, which I'm like, Blake and Rachel?
Yeah. And
they had posted some kind of cute videos of each other. I was like, hold up. But I feel like it can't be, because that would then be a spoiler or something.
Exactly.
But anyway, but I don't know if I've seen Jess like posting like adventure stuff. Maybe she is, but I'm just then trying to picture that too. Like his life is extreme in that way. I don't know. We'll see. But so that's going down. Tanner becomes the talk of the town, the talk of the sand, because he has the open rose, which was surprising to me, because I was like, is it for sure Davia getting his rose?
This one made no sense to me.
I was thrown off by this.
I'm going like, Davia and him had like a 90s rom-com date of like, he's dipping her and they're making out, and he said it's the most incredible makeout he's ever had, and it was romantic, and they're both like stunning together, and they seemed to totally connect. And then there was no, and then there was no like even mention of them falling off.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I thought it was like,
You didn't see them have a conversation and say, like,
he ended it with Kat because of Davia.
That's what I'm saying.
So clearly, by the way,
That was not Davia. It was like, I just need an out. So like, anyway, Davia, this is a great way for me to get out of here. So it was definitely like he saw the writing on the wall. He saw the behavior and he thought, I don't think I want any part of this.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, oh, thank God she came down to kind of give me an excuse not to just break up for no reason.
Yes. And so all the women are chatting it up with Tanner, Davia included. Tanner is making out with...
He's on a makeout tour.
He
just goes, any ladies who are available, meet me in this cabana in 30-minute increments.
And I will say, to what Kat has been preaching about, that he doesn't open mouth make out, I was watching this episode, and he is a kind of a closed-lipped king.
Bit of a pecker, yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, Tanner, but like it does look like, he's a little more of a closed mouth kisser. That's just
I'm glad, because you can't have everything. I mean, the guy's like absolutely a 10. So it's like, maybe, I like the idea that there's just like one slight criticism of the man. Because if like he was the best kisser ever, I'd be a little like, dude,
get out of here.
Chill.
But yeah, he's kissing Genevieve, Davia.
But to the Davia point, and then we get to the Rachel situation. What was interesting is that when we were in the rose ceremony, Davia says, could be me, could be Rachel. So they clearly didn't show that they had been connecting more since they got back from the date.
Very true.
You know what I mean? Because she brought it up, could be me or Rachel.
Yeah.
So clearly when they got back from the date, she probably thought, well, he hasn't really pulled me much. We haven't really been talking much. And he's been talking to Rachel a lot. So maybe I am in my head about this.
Yeah.
As opposed to they just
true.
showed the one thing and they made it look like it was a last minute 3-minute conversation they had before they went to the rose ceremony.
Yeah.
But clearly it was more than that.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I didn't think about that. Yeah, because then when he sits down with Rachel, it seemingly comes out of nowhere for us, but clearly it wasn't.
They had more chemistry there.
And they were playful with each other. And Rachel was kind of like, yeah, to be honest, I've been sitting back because, you've been talking to other people. She was like, I'm not going to get in Kat's way.
Exactly.
She's like, I'm not doing that. Are you joking? But now that you guys aren't talking anymore, like, well, hello. And then Tanner's just like, let's kiss. Just like, oh my God.
He's great.
So they're making out. And in this moment, I don't know, because we see a preview of Jordan from Rachel's season, who she sent home first date, which all of us were shocked about. And she's like, I've thought about him a lot since come down, that I'm like excited for this concept. So I don't know about her and Tanner, but in this moment, I am very happy for Rachel.
Agreed.
Obviously. So then we see Olivia and John Henry talking. She's letting him know that, she's going to be patiently here waiting.
Yeah.
And the truth box is opened once again. And there is a message in the truth box that says, meet me at the hot tub at midnight. XOXO.
So well played by Kat.
Well,
like whether you like it or you don't,
no.
Absolute slick move to throw that in there. It creates mystery. It's brutal, and it gets him out of there.
Sure. I was going to say so well played by producers who right away then go, Kat, get to the hot tub, go.
Whoever did it, whether it's
like,
her.
That to me, that's a producer.
Whether it's her
moment.
or whatever, great move to create more chaos, because it got him, first of all, the box went bad for her last time. Everyone was like, we hate Kat.
That's true.
She's like, it's like, get him out of there so he can't hear any more about Kat, and then also steal him away to a romantic getaway that kind of just like floods your body with endorphins so that you're not thinking straight.
Yes.
Like, it was, whether it's producer or her, absolute chaotic move.
Well, they slip into that hot tub, and he right away was like, well, things have been going great with Kat, but I have to tell it, or things have been going great with Olivia, excuse me, but I have to tell you, you've been turning my head, essentially, and getting to know you more, and you're so fascinating to me, and I've been wanting to kiss you for days. And then they start making out, and she definitely gets her open mouth make out finally, and Kat is just like, it is happening. And I want to say I noticed, this is when I started to notice in the ITMs, when in referring to John Henry in that relationship, Kat was doing a lot of, I'm going to beat Olivia.
Yes.
And Olivia was doing a lot of, John Henry's such an amazing guy. I want the best for him.
Exactly. Even toward the end, the very end,
Yes.
all she said was, he doesn't deserve to be manipulated. He doesn't deserve to be used. He's an amazing guy. After she got broken up with, amazing guy, great guy. And I'm just going, oh my God, how could you miss this one, John Henry? But whatever, good luck, bud. But it was like he's definitely just kind of swept up in the moment. He's definitely swept up in the moment. We'll see. I mean, maybe they are good together, but
yeah, we'll see. But as this is happening, Olivia then finds out via Sam what happened about, or what happened with the truth box, essentially. And this is then when we have our Kat and Olivia are united on the sand. They're walking towards each other, and they are about to have their confrontation. And I just want to say this. Shout out to our queen, because Olivia handled this entire thing so beautifully, so graciously. I'll be very clear with you. After days of watching what was going down between Kat and John Henry, and then I find out about the hot tub situation, the second I see Kat, I'm going off. And we have to think about this. Olivia hasn't said anything yet. Think about that. It's been days of this, and she has let Kat just be Kat. She has let Kat do her thing with John Henry. She's been having her ITMs and her side commentary with her friends. But as far as like trying to block Kat, confront Kat, she's been letting Kat do Kat. And then finally we hit this point where then when she addresses everything with Kat, she doesn't even say like, how dare you come for my man? You know that I've been having a hard time on this beach, which she had every right to say that if she wanted to. Like, I've been having a hard time on this beach, and I'm having this solid relationship, and then all of a sudden you bounce from this to this. She says, here's the bottom line. You all are both adults. You can do what you want to do. John Henry can do what he wants to do. But I have to say I feel a little disrespected because you're out here talking about how you're a girl's girl, and then you can't even come to me and have a discussion, which made me laugh because when she said, you're out here saying you're a girl's girl, I just pictured Kat every day being like, well, I'm such a girl's girl,
Classic.
I'm such a girl's girl. And Olivia's like, quick question. Why haven't you come and talked to me? Of course, Kat immediately rebuttals and is like, well, I don't have a great relationship with you, essentially. If it was any of the other girls, I would have talked to them, but not with you because essentially all you've done is like been toxic and hurt people and caused drama on this beach. Olivia says, hey, can you let me know of one time?
I don't have to explain myself is one of the greatest comebacks you can ever give. I mean, what a classic, like, you're like you are a bad person. Okay, just give me one example how I've been a bad person. I don't have to explain myself.
I don't have to say anything to you.
It's back to the rich young ruler. It's back to just the, upon my crown, I say what I say, and if you dare, I'll dash you upon the rocks. You know what I mean? It's just like, how dare you ask me a question? You know what I mean? And it's just so like wild. It's kind of back to the just like when you're in your own world and you convince yourself of your own truths, you just kind of are in your own world. And like when anyone challenges it, it's looked at as like you're being attacked. Right. And it's like, no, you're the one. Like to Olivia's point, she said, you brought it up. Yeah. I didn't say anything about you. I said, you're the one that said, I'm the one that causes problems. So to help me understand how I'm causing problems.
Yeah, and by the way, we didn't even hear Olivia even say, like, bring up the list of the problems that Kat has caused. All she said was, like, I'm going to address me and you right now.
Yes.
And between me and you, I felt disrespected because you didn't say anything. And then Kat's like, well, you've with all these other people. And it's like, okay. And then when it's like, yeah, give me one example. I'm not going to say any of these things to you and you just have been this way. And, essentially like everybody's talking about it type energy.
Yes.
And then Olivia, and I loved what Olivia did. Olivia, she put her hand up and she goes, move with genuine intentions, Kat. And she walked away. And I was so happy for Olivia because Olivia knew exactly where this was going. And she set a boundary. She's like, I'm not going to waste another breath and my emotions dealing with a back and forth that's not going to go anywhere with Kat because she's not even going to give me, she's saying all these things that are trying to get me upset. And she's not going to even give me an example. And so I'm walking away. I'm just saying, move with genuine intentions because I see you.
Yeah.
And I'm walking away.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was so happy for her instead of just making it like, you know, this, what could have been 2.5 hour long confrontation that, you know, we all know would have gone nowhere because Kat just would have like been, you know, not giving those answers or whatever because she doesn't have examples of it. And then Olivia, she just walked away. And then the second that she went to the bar, she didn't sit there and tell everybody the play-by-play about the conversation and the BS that Kat was pulling. She just goes, you know what? I saw where it was going. I put my boundary up. I'm done.
Yeah.
And she ended it there. Meanwhile, Kat then goes to her crew and is like, you guys, she wouldn't even let me speak. The second I was about to speak, she put her hand in my face. And it's like, okay, now we're lying, Kat. Because, and of course we don't know, like, you know, how technically because of like production, everything, we don't know how long the conversation was. But what we do know is that 1000% Olivia, it was a back and forth and you were speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're now dropping in a lie saying that she never let you speak. And that's just, and you know what? I have a lot to say, but like, I'm done. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I'm done. And all I can say is that.
Well, I'm not. No, yeah.
All I can say is that Olivia is incredible, an incredible human being. And we love you and shout out to you. And yeah, all of that.
Huge fans.
Just, I literally, if I ever see her or meet her in person, like I will be a little starstruck. I'm not going to lie to you. Like that's how
Absolutely.
I feel about Olivia. So then we end up having the rose ceremony. Now, this is another wild part of this episode.
Yeah.
We have this rose ceremony. We find out that Brayden is for sure going to give his rose to Becca. Becca, who came down, and Brayden was auga. Like just, we saw them making out earlier before. They had this moment. Becca's not there.
So weird.
And Jesse Palmer's like, where's Becca? And then with the cameras trail into Jesse Palmer, and she's standing like in the corner.
It's not like she's in bed.
No.
She's just
or
10
like
feet
in
away.
In the bathroom trying to poop.
Or crying on the beach. She's 10 feet away. Not even crying. She's just like sitting there.
No, standing.
Like almost like production forgot to tell her that you can come in now.
Yeah. She's just standing in a corner. And
fully dressed, ready for the rose ceremony.
And it was, I don't know what was happening, but then she was almost like not sharing everything. I don't know what happened,
she barely
what went
said
down.
Anything.
And she essentially says, you know, I've had this great connection with Brayden, but because of what I've heard, I don't know if it's real and I don't know if I want to dive into it or not. And Jesse's like, well, you can either come down to the rose ceremony or you can leave. And she leaves. And I have some conspiracy theories, and maybe she's posted about this since and like addressed, you know, exactly why and what went down. But there's a part of me that's like, was this a production move? Because they're like, we need Rachel, Olivia, and Kat here. And if Brayden gives Becca the rose, then Olivia could leave or Rachel could leave. Like, I don't know. I think there was...
Interesting conspiracy theory. My conspiracy theory is that Kat pulled Becca aside and said a bunch of like fake stuff about Brayden. Because it's like, not only do I get what I want, but no one else gets what they want vibe. I think that Kat pulled her aside and was like, by the way, or like, you know, Becca, they're just talking and Becca's like, oh yeah, so how was your time with Brayden? Well, Brayden really is, you know, I would stay far away from that.
Now, everybody, that is not a rumor because we
that
have no...
That is fact, and I just fact-checked
that is not something that we
But that's
saw
what I like to believe because it's fun and
at all.
exciting. But who knows? Who knows? It could just be it could be production where they're going, we're not getting a lot out of Becca. Let's keep these fire going.
Or she's like, I'm out of here, I guess.
Or it could be what, yeah.
But like, it just felt
nothing made
too
sense.
strange because then, I mean, I felt really bad for Brayden. Brayden was like really excited to give his rose to Becca, and then she just dips without
him and Olivia
saying
are
anything.
in the same kind of world where it's like they just keep getting hits.
Yeah, 1,000%. So then
who would have thought the people with the two like best ITM personalities and just general overall like fun energy we're gonna get hit the most with like heartbreak. Right?
We want them to find love.
Because they both are like the most electric when it comes to personality.
Granted, though, let's be very clear. It's very different because Brayden ditched Rachel. And Rachel and him had amazing chemistry. And Rachel was still there waiting to spend time with Brayden.
I walked that back.
Yeah, walk that back because that's not the same thing. But
Edit that out.
I hear what you're saying. So in the rose ceremony, Avon gives it to Kylie, Tyler to Mercedes, Peter to Sam, which they seem to be cruising.
Yeah, they do.
Aaron to Eliza. Blake gives it to Jess.
Yep.
Then Tanner gives his rose to Rachel. She's shocked. She literally goes up and she's like, this is a surprise.
Yeah, right.
And I'm so happy for Rachel and so happy that we get to see her more. But I am super sad for Davia because Davia is just, seems like just the most beautiful, lovely person. And her time in Paradise seemed to kind of suck.
It did.
It was just drama because of the whole cat situation and probably stress and
Yeah.
short-lived. And she never got to explore with any other guy because she probably thought she was locked in with Tanner. And then
Yeah.
Tanner did kind of screw her over, I think.
Unless there was more conversations that we had and he kind of pulled back and who knows. But it did look like out of nowhere he just went with like someone he kind of had talked to.
Yeah.
Random.
Well, and then John Henry, he gives his rose to Kat.
Yeah. Which
Kat,
we felt like was going to happen because it was just building up too much.
We felt it. And Kat says in the ITMs, she's like, sorry, Olivia.
It's all about Olivia.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
I'm
problem.
like, and I'm like, what about the fact that, like, aren't you stoked
Yeah,
that John Henry
no,
picked you?
because you remember that clip where she
Yeah.
said John Henry was one of my backups or one of my alternates that I had on my list.
Right. But she said, too, to be fair, she was like, who thought that one of my alternates would be, like, someone who I have my eyeballs on now?
But yes, it seems to be much more about the competition and much less about, like, how much she loves John Henry.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Well, then Brayden says that he wants to give his rose to someone who absolutely deserves this opportunity. And thank God he gives his rose to Olivia. So we see Olivia here another day, another week. And this means that she gets the rose next because women, I guess, will be in power.
So she'll be 2 more
yes.
weeks.
Yes.
I do
makes
love
me
that.
so happy. And one of my favorite moments of the entire episode was after Brayden gives her the rose when she gives him that cheeky smile and she's like, want to go make out later?
Mhm.
That was so
That was
cute.
funny. Dude, I love her. She's
amazing. But going home, Davia and Genevieve.
Yeah.
And then we have the next day, you know, a moment to note with the whole Brayden giving Olivia the rose. You know, there could be many layers to this. Brayden wanting to give Olivia this opportunity. Brayden being good friends with Olivia.
Yeah.
They've bonded. Producers telling Brayden to give Olivia the rose. Also, Brayden maybe wanting to push Kat's buttons a little bit.
I love it. He always kind of has that because I love when he'll walk up to Kat and be like, "So, how you feeling about all that?"
You just take a couple deep breaths. You're gonna be
Ooh,
fine.
that is tough. Yeah, interesting. And he's always like trying not to crack a smile. Like he loves.
And then when she was
kind
mad
of-
at Tanner, and then like Tanner walked up and he's like, "Hey, GQ model."
Yeah,
like,
he's like,
rubbing
God, what does
him.
it feel like to be the hottest guy here? Like, he's reveling in the like teetering moments, and I do love that.
So you got to question it a little bit, where you're like, "Is there also a little piece of like?"
Oh, there's definitely a 10% like I want to keep Olivia around to torture Kat. 100%.
And we see that then when we see Kat, but of course talking alone to Blake.
Blake's just like, please stop.
Kat is cornering Blake, and she just goes, I wanted to ask him, like, where that came from. Like, why do you think Brayden gave her that fucking rose?
Pissed.
And
I thought she'd be gone by now.
no,
Like,
but she's just like, why did Brayden give her that fucking rose? And Blake's just looking ahead, kind of like, he like mumbles something.
just goes totally. You know, it's like when you're not listening and someone asks you a question and you just say totally.
It sent me over the edge when we saw the clip. And it's like, of course, Kat is asking about why Brayden gave her the rose and asking Blake. It's like, of course, she goes to Saint Blake of the
Saint
beach
Blake, yeah.
many times a day to be like, offer me wisdom, aka just listen to me talk for a
Yes,
while as I verbally
exactly.
process
Oh my
this.
gosh.
So she says she's selfishly upset because she doesn't want to have any eyes on her on the beach. And everyone's kind of questioning like what's going to happen because clearly Olivia still has feelings for John Henry. Like it doesn't just go away. And we see Olivia in these ITMs, like you said, and she's just like, he's such an amazing guy. John Henry's always been John Henry and I want the best for him.
Yeah.
And she says, even if it's not me, I just want him to have.
I mean, she cared about him so much. It was so crazy. Up to the
Yeah.
very end.
And, you know, and I don't know where they stand now, but I bet she still does. Like, she just has such a big heart.
I hope they fall back. I hope that, like, John Henry's later on is just like, I made a mistake. They start talking again. And then,
I want is I hope that John Henry is like, I made a mistake and
Yes.
wants to get back with Olivia, and Olivia is with Michael
Agreed.
or whoever
Agreed.
she else. Because
Yes.
I don't want that
No.
for Olivia.
No.
Olivia
but I
deserves
want
someone
him
100%.
to realize his mistake.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I want.
Sure. Yes.
Yes.
I feel like we all feel this.
Come on.
this
Yeah.
desire. But then we see Olivia and John Henry have their
Yeah.
conversation, and Olivia's just, she's sad, man. Like,
So sad, but also so caring. So sweet.
caring, and like she was just kind of like, "Are you coming here to just like clear your conscience?" Essentially, and even when she says those things, which like I feel like were deserved for him to hear, she also then follows it up by being like, "I think you're an amazing guy, and I worry for you," and that's all.
That's got to mess with his head a little bit, being like,
sure.
wait, I treated her badly at this moment, and she's still being nice to me.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, okay.
And Olivia shares then later with like Blake and Tanner, and then she ended up having an Instagram post about it that was like really powerful, where she was talking about, essentially that it's been really hard because human nature, like we want to be chosen.
Yes.
And she has just had this, situation time and time again on this beach where it's just like not working out, and like how she was feeling. And I want to read her post really quick because I thought it was like so good. She posted on Instagram. She said, "Watching the episode back brought back some not so great feelings. All we ever want is not only to be chosen, but wanted. With that being said, I just wanted to send out some encouragement. If you're someone's best thing, working towards becoming someone's best thing, or feeling hopeless where you will never be someone's best thing, be your own best thing first. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, regardless of your relationship status, celebrate yourself. You are more than worthy and deserving. You are made in the image of God, so realize how special you are."
Wow.
Olivia.
Jeez. Pastor Olivia.
I'm like, Olivia making me cry out here.
God.
So that's all these things she was feeling on the
Yeah.
beach, which I can't imagine, like the stress and then having dealt with what she dealt with and the drama and feeling this way. But then we see Michael come down.
Yeah.
And she
Fireworks.
is thrilled. And I have to tell you, these two have some chemistry. I mean,
They
again,
do.
she's got chemistry with everybody, but he seems so charming and fun.
Mm-hmm.
And he then ends up pulling Kylie and also Mercedes. And I'm like, Michael, if you don't say Olivia, I'm going to lose my mind, as will the rest of the beach.
Well, Kylie's definitely not going to go on the date. She's locked in with Avon.
That's true.
And the Mercedes piece is a maybe. So I do feel like this is production to some extent, like setting up Olivia to kind of have a chance.
I sure hope
And
so.
I really hope that they do, because they do. It was flowing. They were laughing. They have the Rochester thing in common. Like they seem to be, fun and flow. And I love that Olivia was able to have fun already and not feel, because sometimes what can happen is you can be sad and mopey after they just got broken up with the day after. If you're kind of like, hell yeah, thanks. I hope we can go on a date. But she was immediately just like, what's up? It was so fun.
And like the men too, Aaron and Brayden, they had been talking to Olivia about Michael, because remember, she's like, she came up to Brayden and Aaron, she's like, "Oh my God, he's just as amazing as you guys said."
Yeah.
So they had been talking about Michael,
Yeah.
and they're like, "He's a great guy." They were thrilled. They're like, "He's an amazing person." So we got rave reviews from the guys on his season about how awesome of a guy Michael is. He gives her his sandals when her feet are hurting.
Yeah.
She's being treated like a queen, like she should be. So I'm really hoping that this is it, this
Yeah.
moment. And also on top of it too, lest us not forget, Michael is a yacht captain. So I'm like, guess what, Olivia? I know we've been talking for forever about genuinely quite the impressive career of John Henry with the underwater welding. But like, what are you going to do with that? It's dangerous, and also you're not down there welding with him. But you know what you could have instead? A captain. Taking you on boats all the
Captain
time.
of your heart.
Captain of your heart, yacht captain, taking you out to sea all the time while John Henry is underwater welding. You are on top of a yacht drinking champagne while your boyfriend or fiance or whoever is just like cruising you around the world. Okay? I'm
Done,
just saying that.
Signed, sealed,
Done and
delivered.
done. So we shall see next week. Again, also the massive tease of our girl, Katie Thurston, coming down. Blake is head in the hands. Oh my God, why is she here? Jess is like absolutely panicking. This is going to get wild. It's going to get spicy. I'm on pins and needles. I cannot wait.
Next week's fire, because we got the double episode. We got the, both
We have
franchises
fantasy
are
suites.
absolutely banging.
We have fantasy suites
Yep.
and Katie coming
yeah, it's
down.
tomorrow. Next week's gonna be
Like
mental.
my body is vibrating.
Get ready.
So please make sure to join us next week.
Yes.
We're gonna be having a lot of thoughts and
Yes.
opinions, I'm sure.
Agreed.
But we love you all.
we love you guys.
Evan is in his home reno era, so we have some construction that's about to
Yes.
start happening. So we do have to wrap the episode now before call home, but we'll do it again another time. We love you all.
Bye.